Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Weekly Awakening Podcast. This is your host, Cosmic Colleen, back with another weekly astrology update. How is everyone feeling? People might be feeling a little humdrum, a little cathartic, a little bit tired, sleepy, and maybe also some of those positive, cozy fall vibes. I know I am feeling the fall energy. I feel like today here in the Philadelphia area, it was such a beautiful fall day, and I hope a lot of people got outside and got to experience that. Now, the energy is going to be intense. We are in the middle of eclipse season, guys. So we just had the eclipse in Libra, and it's beginning that Libra Aries eclipse axis where they're going to be bouncing back and forth. However, not this week, but that eclipse energy is going to be very integrated into this week's astrology. But the following week, we have the last lunar eclipse in the sign of Taurus, and that's going to be wrapping up that Scorpio-Taurus axis. So let's get going. Let's get talking. What is happening this week? First of all, I want to remind everyone, thank you for your continued support. I appreciate that. The best way you can support this podcast, because I am fully self-supporting. I don't ask for money, donations, none of that. All I ask is that you spread the word of the Weekly Awakening podcast. If everybody that listens today sends it to one person, I mean, the growth will be huge. It will be amazing. And I know so many of you continue to do that. You continue to plug in the podcast, support me, post about it, put it on social media, and send it to a friend. So thank you for those who continue to do that. And again, for those of you who haven't yet, the best way to support is just send it to a friend. Say, hey, I think you'd really like this self-awareness astrology podcast. And that is the best way. So this week, it is Monday now here. It's a beautiful fall day, and we're going to talk about fall and how that reminds us every year that nothing is permanent. So this week, the sun will go opposite North Node, which also means it will be conjunct naturally the South Node, because wherever the North Node is, the South Node is directly opposite, in the opposite sign, but at the same degree. And then Mercury will go opposite the node. And then we have Mercury and the sun conjunct in the sign of Libra this week. And then they both will square Pluto on the week out. So you guys get what I'm saying? The eclipse energy in Pluto is going to be playing out this week for all of us, and I'm going to be talking about that, how that is going to play out. Now, on Sunday, I'm excited about Sunday. I think we're going to have finally a conclusion and some positive energy before we hit that lunar eclipse next Friday. So on Sunday, though, Venus will trine Jupiter. So we got Venus in the Earth sign of Virgo, and it will be trining Jupiter in Taurus. And you guys know all summer was about Venus in Leo squaring Jupiter in Taurus. So I'm really, really excited about the conclusions and the good energy that's going to come from that. We also have Mercury entering Scorpio on Sunday. However, I'm going to be talking about that on next week's episode because I already have so much with this week's episode, especially being in between the eclipse season. Now, the eclipse season definitely, again, it was a solar eclipse, so it's like a new moon on steroids. However, it's happening the sun is naturally in its fall. So when the sun is in Libra, it's not really working at its strongest. For some reason, it's weak. And I have a few theories. I mean, astrologers have so many theories and understandings and reasons and lots of things to teach you, but I have some other theories that I want to talk about on this podcast about why that is happening. Now, remember, like I said earlier, fall reminds you that nothing in this world is permanent. Everything dies, everything changes, everything will go away. It doesn't mean, right? I know that's kind of scary. What? Nothing's permanent? Oh my gosh. I know definitely my fixed signs right now are like, what do you mean we can't handle that non-permanency? No, I'm just kidding. But it's, every year when this comes up, and again, today just felt so fallish here I went for a hike with my son. It just felt very fallish here in the Philadelphia area. And when the feelings come up, when the cozy feeling vibes come up, there's also this feeling of, there's this feeling of wandering, of reminiscing, of going back, to things that we don't have anymore, going back to the school vibes, remember for the first 18 years of your life, the fall is where it's at. The fall is where everything kind of begins, And I'm always left reminded, okay, we have another fall, and I'm sort of thinking about what is not there anymore, what is not in my life in these falls. That energy kind of naturally comes to me, and I think it comes to all of us a little bit. Like I said, we're sort of mourning things as we're watching the world around us collectively die, and I don't mean that like physically, I meant like more of the plant worlds around us, and those vibes die. We can't help but remember or also feel nostalgic or the want for something that isn't there anymore. And I really feel like I'm not going to go into like my whole plant consciousness theory. I'm sure everyone that listens to this already has their own, but like I said, everything around us is now dying. Everything around us is now showing us it's not permanent anymore. And that energy we're also going to be feeling. We're also going to be in the collective understanding that. Now, today, Abram and I, we went on this nature hike at a preserve near my house. And first of all, he's like, that's raised to the top of the hill. It's a really big hill. And we were in this field. And I come across the field, and it was like mud everywhere in the middle of the field, and I had to cross it. And he's already like halfway up the hill, so I didn't want to lose him. And I was still, I think, feeling my little Costa Rican vibes, you know, like, oh, nature, Steve Irwin-ish. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to jump there. That looks solid. And literally my first leg dropped, and I went the whole way down into mud, both of my legs up to my knees. And I got up, and you know what? I had to go chase after my kid, and we kept hiking. And on it, you know, they will do things with me, my kids, that I like to do with these nature things. And I made us hold hands and also both of our hands on the tree. And we said a prayer. And we also took the moment in to take in the wisdom of nature, to take in the energy, to ground us, to cleanse us as we enter this season of, as we enter the season of death, as we enter the season of seeing that nothing is permanent, that everything changes. And so I definitely ask you guys, do that in this next week too, especially if you're really feeling a little bit nostalgic, or you're feeling lost, or you're feeling lost, any of those. Go into nature, maybe go into your backyard and channel that energy around you, embrace the nature around you, and allow it to clear, allow it to embrace, allow it to accept. Later after we got home, I did a meditation before I started writing notes on this podcast. And I cried a little bit because at the end of our hike, my son, he grabbed my hand and we held hands, and later on I was meditating and just, thoughts come and go, and I was having my moment, and I started to tear up because I was like, holy shit, my son's going to be 10 in January, and this very well, next fall he'll be almost 11. And I'm like, how did it get like that? All of a sudden I have my little kid who wants to go on hikes and do all these things, to eventually, he's very soon, before I know it, going to be in this teenage era, and I had this mourning of my baby, right? And making sure I hold on to all of it. It's not over yet, but like, wow, we're now getting to where he's going to become a preteen and a teenager type of fall. And where did these falls happen? Where, we go to the pumpkin patch and they dress up as a pumpkin and we do those things. They're gone. So that came up for me, and that, things like that can come up when we start to feel the seasons change. And that's what Libra season is about. Libra season is the descent into darkness. And the sun, it's exalted in Aries. It's exalted in the opposite side. It's exalted when the fire begins, when the sun starts to rise, when we start to lead into the warmth. So when it starts its descent into darkness, like it does in Libra season, there's just this nostalgic feel. There's this kind of like, some people love it. I love the fall, even like the winter, you guys know that. But overall, like I said, there's this like inward, there's this darkness looming around us in every sort of way. And I think that is a big reason why, the sun is in its fall in Libra. We begin the descent into darkness, and we want to be in the bright light. We know now it's getting darker and darker, and that darker energy can, take a hold of us if we don't know how to handle it properly within ourselves. And by handling it properly, I mean accept it within ourselves and gain a deeper understanding of it within ourselves. Now, let's talk about that these week's transits, because everything I just said is going to be feeling this week. This week will feel a little humdrum, okay? Whatever that means, humdrum. To me, it's like blah, a woe is me, which God rest my grandma. She used to always say that, oh, woe is me. Overwhelmed, tired, sleepy, just not really feeling like your bright self, ready to go out there and shine and smile and do all kinds of fun stuff. It's again going to be feeling a little bit darker. Now, this week, while the Sun and Mercury dance with these nodes and they're kind of dancing with themselves, we're going to feel big pushback when it comes to a decision, a life decision, some mindset decisions, maybe some communications with work, friends, family. We're going to feel a big, strong pushback. Maybe we decided to reveal a plan to someone and they don't like it. They push back on it a lot. So instantly, that's just what really came to me this week, a big pushback, a strong pushback. Something is aligning, but it might not be, the way you want it to align. And the way you want it to align, it's not really happening yet. It feels like there's stops or blocks. And again, it's also coupled with a strong pushback because it's going opposite the nodes in Aries. That strong energy is pushing through. So when it goes in opposition and it will be conjunct the South Node, it's sort of like the South Node's going to weaken the Sun and Mercury a little bit. It's going to stop it. And that powerful force is going to feel like it's winning. That's what I'm saying. It's going to be coming. New energy is going to be coming in or old energy resurfacing in a new way. And it's going to be pushing. It's going to be pushing back. Okay. Remember that this week, pushing back. It won't feel permanent, but it's okay. You may feel moments of weakness. You may feel moments of not being strong enough. And you may feel moments of giving up. But instead of looking at it as giving up, looking at it as surrender, okay? Surrendering to whatever the pushback is. If this is the pushback, then I'm surrendering to what happens. And then when you surrender, many different things unfold from that. Okay, on Thursday, though, when Mercury conjuncts the Sun and it's finally, before leading up to that, Mercury is also going to be a little bit, not debilitated, but not working stronger because it's going to be under the beams of the Sun. And then when it conjuncts and it's kind of safe a little bit in the heart of the Sun, it's protected. There's going to be help. So we're going to have help with that pushback. We're going to have help through, a message from a friend or a friend really helping us work out something in our mind and our emotions, working out a miscommunication with someone. You're just going to have someone on your side, someone in your corner that is going to help you out of this pushback, or it's not going to feel as hard or as debilitating as maybe it did when the pushback first came. Now, something else that can come up during this time is that we can have these feelings of just being overwhelmed, but overwhelmed with a lot of information, or just a strong surge of energy is kind of disrupting you or disrupting your peace. An overload of energy, of information that doesn't feel good, or maybe it doesn't make sense. Again, there's just like sort of this overload or overwhelmed with too much information. Like, this is too much. I need to run. I need to hide, or I don't even know what to do right now. I need to take my quiet time and make my decisions. So again, a strong surge of energy that's disrupting your peace, feeling overwhelmed with a lot of information, or, feeling like information doesn't make sense to you is going to be a little bit of that. But again, we're going to have some help, and just ask and you will receive with your help, especially on Thursday, Friday, well into the weekend. Now, Mercury and the Sun are moving out next week. They will be Sunday and Tuesday. They will now be in Scorpio, and next week we'll begin the Scorpio season. So, and again, I'll be talking about that on next week's episode. But when Mercury conjuncts the Sun, it will be in the heart of the Sun. So like I said, it's protected. Someone is helping you. But then they both square Pluto on the way out. So maybe it's just really exerting your power or taking your power back. Maybe this whole transit this week, as we go through these stages, will really, in the end, when it squares Pluto, is you really learning how to take your power back, or you really standing up when you normally don't stand up, or you really fighting against your shadows. So again, this week, needless to say, will be a little bit overall humdrum, heavy, deep, low energy, heavy energy, and we'll be feeling deeply. And we may not like that. Now, this is where we're going to practice surrender, and this is where we're going to practice acceptance. And we can choose to, whatever unfolds, whatever deep, heavy energy unfolds, we can use it as a unique growth opportunity to learn surrender and learn acceptance. And we master those, and we'll be spending a whole lifetime mastering those. But each time we get a little bit closer, as things unfold in front of us that we don't necessarily like, they become less scary. They become less fearful. They become less debilitating to us. So surrender to what you feel this week. Surrender to what comes up. Now, In moments when you know you need to surrender, when you know you need to practice acceptance, this is what I want you to do, and maybe even practice it every day this week. Put your hand on your heart and calmly say, I surrender to these feelings. I surrender to these emotions. So when you're losing it, okay, find 30 seconds. Go to the bathroom, go to the car, go somewhere and say to yourself, put your hand on your heart. I surrender to these feelings. I surrender to these emotions. You're going to surrender to those. And when you surrender to those, you allow the flow of acceptance to flow through you. You accept your reactions as they change, as each moment changes. Just like as each leaf is dying, you may change or shift your emotions just that many times. Per leaf dying, you may just, be able to take on a new emotion, and that's okay. Our reactions, they shift, they come, they go. They are not permanent, okay? So say again, I accept these feelings, okay? That's when it comes to the acceptance parts, okay? We can put, again, our hand on our heart or even lower in our solar plexus, our root chakra, our sacral chakra, and say, I accept these feelings. And also know that these feelings will pass. Feelings are not facts. Feelings come and they go. And again, nothing is permanent in this life, and that includes our feelings. That includes our emotions. And maybe with each fall, and I'm talking about each fall weather-wise that we experience, and each fall that we take on and we experience it open and raw and just accept and surrender to everything that's flowing through us, the closer we get to accepting the reality that nothing is permanent. Whew. Thank you for my TED Talk. And this Sunday, we'll finish with this. This Sunday, Venus trines Jupiter and Mercury will trine Saturn. So that is sort of like, whew, there is the answer. There is the understanding. There is the full circle of our soul awakening, our spirituality. And again, every time you bring a little of awareness comes a shift in the soul. So emotions will start making sense this weekend. By Sunday, we'll feel much more grounded within our emotions, especially from this week. And we need that kind of grounded stability energy before we hit this lunar eclipse in Taurus. We definitely are going to need that. And remember, whatever Venus retrograde stuff came up for you this summer while we're in all that Venus retrograde, now that Venus will be trining Jupiter, because remember, it squared it all those times, 3 times in the summertime. We should have this weekend much more grounded closure, much more grounded awareness with ourselves, with whatever came up during that Venus retrograde for you. And, usually around Venus retrograde, it's around love, beauty, aesthetic, sexuality, friendship, joy, pleasures. So you're going to have more, again, awareness, closure in yourself, with other people, with all of whatever drama, we got to say it because especially the Venus retrograde was happening in Leo, whatever drama came up then. Now, remember guys, allow yourself to flow, accept, love, and each time you accept, you don't push those feelings away, you don't hide those feelings away. Each time your soul gets quicker to feeling peace and gets quicker to feeling understanding. And those two things, you can have it all if you can have those two things. I love you guys. Have a beautiful week. I'll be back next week. I'm starting to get back on social media a little bit. I know I haven't done any TikToks yet, but I'm feeling a little inspired for my break, and I'll be bringing it back to you guys on that. Thank you again. Thank you for those of you who are going to share this message, share my message, share my podcast with the world. I love you guys, and have a beautiful week.